The Prophecies of Nostradamus. Century 5. 1. Before the coming of Celtic ruin. In the temple two will parley. Pike and dagger to the heart of one mounted on the steed. They will bury the great one without making any noise. 2. 7 conspirators at the banquet will cause to flash the iron out of the ship against the 3. One will have the 2 fleets brought to the great one, when through the evil the latter shoots him in the forehead. 3. The successor to the duchy will come, very far beyond the Tuscan sea. A Gallic branch will hold Florence, the nautical frog in its bosom be agreement. 4. The large mastiff expelled from the city will be vexed by the strange alliance, after having chased the stag to the fields. The wolf and the bear will defy each other. 5. Under the shadowy pretense of removing servitude, he will himself usurp the people and city. He will do worse because of the deceit of the young prostitute, delivered in the field reading the false poem. 6. The augur putting his hand upon the head of the king will come to pray for the peace of Italy. He will come to move the scepter to his left hand. From king he will become pacific emperor. 7. The bones of the triumvir will be found, looking for a deep enigmatic treasure. Those from thereabouts will not be at rest, digging for this thing of marble and metallic lead. 8. There will be unleashed live fire, hidden death, horrible and frightful within the globes. By night the city reduced to dust by the fleet, the city of fire, the enemy amenable. 9. The great arch demolished down to its base, by the chief captive his friend forestalled. He will be born of the lady with hairy forehead and face. Then through cunning the duke overtaken by death. 10. A Celtic chief wounded in the conflict, seeing death overtaking his men near a cellar, pressed by blood and wounds and enemies, and relief by 4 unknown ones. 11. The sea will not be passed over safely by those of the sun. Those of Venus will hold all Africa. Saturn will no longer occupy their realm, and the Asiatic part will change. 12. To near the lake of Geneva will it be conducted, by the foreign maiden wishing to betray the city, before its murder at Augsburg the great suite, and those of the Rhine will come to invade it. 13. With great fury the Roman Belgian king will want to vex the barbarian with his phalanx. Fury gnashing, he will chase the African people from the Pannonias to the Pillars of Hercules. 14. Saturn and Mars in Leo Spain captive, by the African chief trapped in the conflict. Near Malta, Herod taken alive, and the Roman scepter will be struck down by the cock. 15. The great pontiff taken captive while navigating, the great one thereafter to fail the clergy in tumult. Second one elected absent his estate declines, his favorite bastard to death broken on the wheel. 16. The Sabaean tear no longer at its high price, turning human flesh into ashes through death. At the Isle of Pharos disturbed by the Crusaders, when at Rhodes will appear a hard phantom. 17. By night the king passing near an alley, he of Cyprus and the principal guard. The king mistaken, the hand flees the length of the Rhone. The conspirators will set out to put him to death. 18. The unhappy abandoned one will die of grief. His conqueress will celebrate the hecatomb. Pristine law, free edict drawn up. The wall and the prince falls on the 7th day. 19. The great royal one of gold, augmented by brass. The agreement broken, war opened by a young man. People afflicted because of a lamented chief. The land will be covered with barbarian blood. 20. The great army will pass beyond the Alps. Shortly before will be born a monster scoundrel. Prodigious and sudden he will turn, the great Tuscan to his nearest place. 21. By the death of the Latin monarch, those whom he will have assisted through his reign. The fire will light up again the booty divided. Public death for the bold ones who incurred it. 22. Before the Great One has given up the ghost at Rome. Great terror for the foreign army. The ambush by squadrons near Parma. Then the two red ones will celebrate together. 23. The two contented ones will be united together, when for the most part they will be conjoined with Mars. The Great One of Africa trembles in terror. Duumvirate disjoined by the fleet. 24. The realm and law raised under Venus. Saturn will have dominion over Jupiter. The law and realm raised by the Sun. Through those of Saturn it will suffer the worst. 25. The Arab prince Mars, Sun, Venus, Leo. The rule of the church will succumb by sea. Towards Persia very nearly 1 million men. The true serpent will invade Byzantium and Egypt. 26. The slavish people through luck in war will become elevated to a very high degree. They will change their prince, one born a provincial. An army raised in the mountains to pass over the sea. 27. Through fire and arms not far from the Black Sea. He will come from Persia to occupy Trebizond. Pharos, Mytilene to tremble, the sun joyful. The Adriatic Sea covered with Arab blood. 28. His arm hung and leg bound. Face pale, dagger hidden in his bosom. 3 who will be sworn in the fray. Against the Great One of Genoa will the steel be unleashed. 29. Liberty will not be recovered. A proud, villainous, wicked black one will occupy it. When the matter of the bridge will be opened. The Republic of Venice vexed by the Danube. 30. All around the great city. Soldiers will be lodged throughout the fields and towns. To give the assault Paris, Rome incited. Then upon the bridge great pillage will be carried out. 31. Through the Attic land fountain of wisdom. At present the rose of the world. The bridge ruined, and its great preeminence will be subjected, a wreck amidst the waves. 32. Where all is good, the sun all beneficial and the moon is abundant, its ruin approaches. From the sky it advances to change your fortune. In the same state as the seventh rock. 33. Of the principal ones of the city in rebellion, who will strive mightily to recover their liberty. The males cut up, unhappy fray. Cries, groans at knots pitiful to see. 34. From the deepest part of the English West, where the head of the British Isle is, a fleet will enter the Gironde through Blois. Through wine and salt, fires hidden in the casks. 35. For the free city of the great Crescent Sea, which still carries the stone in its stomach. The English fleet will come under the drizzle, to seize a branch, war opened by the Great One. 36. The sister's brother through the quarrel and deceit will come to mix dew in the mineral. On the cake given to the slow old woman. She dies tasting it, she will be simple and rustic. 37. 300 will be in accord with one will, to come to the execution of their blow. 20 months after all memory, their king betrayed simulating feigned hate. 38. He who will succeed the great monarch on his death will lead an illicit and wanton life. Through nonchalance he will give way to all, so that in the end the Salic law will fail. 39. Issued from the true branch of the fleur-de-lis, placed and lodged as heir of Etruria, his ancient blood woven by long hand, he will cause the escutcheon of Florence to bloom. 40. The blood royal will be so very mixed. Gauls will be constrained by Hesperia. One will wait until his term has expired, and until the memory of his voice has perished. 41. Born in the shadows and during a dark day, he will be sovereign in realm and goodness. He will cause his blood to rise again in the ancient urn. renewing the age of gold for that of brass. 42. Mars, raised to his highest belfry, will cause the Savoyards to withdraw from France. The Lombard people will cause very great terror to those of the eagle included under the balance. 43. The great ruin of the holy things is not far off. Provence, Naples, Sicily, Sais and Pons. In Germany, at the Rhine and Cologne. Vexed to death by all those of Mainz. 44. On sea the Red One will be taken by pirates. Because of him peace will be troubled. Anger and greed will he expose through a false act. The army doubled by the great pontiff. 45. The great empire will soon be desolated and transferred to near the Ardennes. The two bastards beheaded by the oldest one, and Bronzebeard the hawk-nose will reign. 46. Quarrels and new schism by the Red Hats. When the Sabine will have been elected, they will produce great sophism against him, and Rome will be injured by those of Alba. 47. The great Arab will march far forward. He will be betrayed by the Byzantines. Ancient roads will come to meet him, and greater harm through the Austrian-Hungarians. 48. After the great affliction of the scepter, two enemies will be defeated by them. A fleet from Africa will appear before the Hungarians. By land and sea horrible deeds will take place. 49. Not from Spain but from ancient France will one be elected for the trembling bark. To the enemy will a promise be made. He who will cause a cruel plague in his realm. 50. The year that the brothers of the lily come of age. One of them will hold the great Romania. The mountains to tremble, Latin passage opened. Agreement to march against the fort of Armenia. 51. The people of Dacia, England, Poland, and of Bohemia will make a new league to pass beyond the pillars of Hercules. The Barcelonians and Tuscans will prepare a cruel plot. 52. There will be a king who will give opposition. The exiles raised over the realm. The pure poor people to swim in blood. And for a long time will he flourish under such a device. 53. The law of the sun and of Venus in strife, appropriating the spirit of prophecy. Neither the one nor the other will be understood. The law of the great Messiah will hold through the sun. 54. From beyond the Black Sea and Great Tartary, there will be a king who will come to see Gaul. He will pierce through Alania and Armenia, and within Byzantium will he leave his bloody rod. 55. In the country of Arabia Felix, there will be born one powerful in the law of Muhammad, to vex Spain, to conquer Granada, and more by sea against the Ligurian people. 56. Through the death of the very old pontiff, a Roman of good age will be elected. Of him it will be said that he weakens his see, but long will he sit and in biting activity. 57. There will go from Mont and Aventin one who through the whole will warn the army. Between two rocks will the booty be taken. Of Sectus Mausoleum the renowned to fail. 58. By the aqueduct of Uzes over the Gard, through the forest and inaccessible mountain. In the middle of the bridge there will be cut in the fist the chief of Nîmes who will be very terrible. 59. Too long a stay for the English chief at Nîmes. Towards Spain Redbeard to the rescue. Many will die by war open that day, when a bearded star will fall in Artois. 60. By the shaven head a very bad choice will come to be made. Overburdened he will not pass the gate. He will speak with such great fury and rage, that to fire and blood he will consign the entire sex. 61. The child of the Great One not by his birth. He will subjugate the high Apennine mountains. He will cause all those of the balance to tremble, and from the Pyrenees to Mont Cenis. 62. One will see blood to rain on the rocks. Sun in the east, Saturn in the west. Near Orgon war, at Rome great evil to be seen. Ships sunk to the bottom, taken by trident. 63. From the vain enterprise honor and undue complaint. Boats tossed about among the Latins, cold, hunger, waves. Not far from the Tiber the land stained with blood. And diverse plagues will be upon mankind. 64. Those assembled by the tranquility of the great number. By land and sea council countermanded. Near Anton Genoa, nice in the shadow. Through fields and towns in revolt against the chief. 65. Come suddenly the terror will be great. Hidden by the principal ones of the affair. And the lady on the charcoal will no longer be in sight. Thus little by little will the great ones be angered. 66. Under the ancient Vestal edifices. Not far from the ruined aqueduct. The glittering metals are of the sun and moon. The lamp of Trajan engraved with gold burning. 67. When the chief of Perugia will not venture his tunic, since under cover to strip himself quite naked. 7 will be taken aristocratic deed. Father and son dead through a point in the collar. 68. In the Danube and of the Rhine will come to drink. The great camel, not repenting it. Those of the Rhone to tremble, and much more so those of the Loire. And near the Alps the cock will ruin him. 69. No longer will the great one be in his false sleep. Uneasiness will come to replace tranquility. A phalanx of gold, azure and vermilion arrayed, to subjugate Africa and gnaw it to the bone. 70. Of the regions subject to the balance. They will trouble the mountains with great war. Captives the entire sex enthralled and all Byzantium. So that at dawn they will spread the news from land to land. 71. By the fury of one who will wait for the water. By his great rage the entire army moved. 17 boats loaded with the noble. The messenger come late along the Rhone. 72. For the pleasure of the voluptuous edict. One will mix poison in the faith. Venus will be in a course so virtuous as to becloud the whole quality of the sun. 73. The church of God will be persecuted, and the holy temples will be plundered. The child will put his mother out in her shift. Arabs will be allied with the Poles. 74. Of Trojan blood will be born a Germanic heart, who will rise to very high power. He will drive out the foreign Arabic people, returning the church to its pristine preeminence. 75. He will rise high over the estate more to the right. He will remain seated on the square stone, towards the south facing to his left. The crooked staff in his hand, his mouth sealed. 76. In a free place will he pitch his tent, and he will not want to lodge in the cities. Aix, Carpentras, Lille, Vaucluse, Mont, Cavaillon. Throughout all these places will he abolish his trace. 77. All degrees of ecclesiastical honor will be changed to that of Jupiter and Quirinus. The priest of Quirinus to one of Mars. Then a king of France will make him one of Vulcan. 78. The two will not be united for very long, and in 13 years to the barbarian satrap. On both sides they will cause such loss that one will bless the bark and its cope. 79. The sacred pomp will come to lower its wings. Through the coming of the great legislator, he will raise the humble, he will vex the rebels. His like will not appear on this earth. 80. Admios will approach great Byzantium. The barbaric league will be driven out. Of the two laws the heathen one will give way. Barbarian and Frank in perpetual strife. 81. The royal bird over the city of the sun. 7 months in advance it will deliver a nocturnal omen. The eastern wall will fall lightning thunder. 7 days the enemies directly to the gates. 82. At the conclusion of the treaty outside the fortress, Will not go he who is placed in despair. When those of Arbois, of Langres against Bresse, will have the mountains of Dole an enemy ambush. 83. Those who will have undertaken to subvert an unparalleled realm, powerful and invincible. They will act through deceit, Knights 3 to warn. When the greatest one will read his Bible at the table. 84. He will be born of the gulf and unmeasured city, born of obscure and dark family. He who the revered power of the great king will want to destroy through Rouen and Evreux. 85. Through the Suevy and neighboring places. They will be at war over the clouds. Swarm of marine locusts and gnats. The faults of Geneva will be laid quite bare. 86. Divided by the 2 heads and 3 arms. The great city will be vexed by waters. Some great ones among them led astray in exile. Byzantium hard pressed by the head of Persia. 87. The year that Saturn is out of bondage. In the Frank land he will be inundated by water. Of Trojan blood will his marriage be, and he will be confined safely be the Spaniards. 88. Through a frightful flood upon the sand, a marine monster from other seas found. Near the place will be made a refuge, holding Savona the slave of Turin. 89. Into Hungary through Bohemia, Navarre, and under that banner holy insurrections, by the fleur-de-lis legion carrying the bar. Against Orleans they will cause disturbances. 90. In the Cyclades, in Paranthus and Larissa, in Sparta and the entire Peloponnesus, very great famine, plague through false dust. 9 months will it last, and throughout the entire peninsula. 91. At the market that they call that of liars, of the entire torrent and field of Athens, they will be surprised by the light horses, by those of Alba when Mars is in Leo and Saturn in Aquarius. 92. After the sea has been held 17 years, 5 will change within the same period of time. Then 1 will be elected at the same time, one who will not be too comfortable to the Romans. 93. Under the land of the round lunar globe, when Mercury will be dominating, the Isle of Scotland will produce a luminary, one who will put the English into confusion. 94. He will transfer into Great Germany, Brabant and Flanders, Ghent, Bruges and Boulogne. The truce feigned, the great Duke of Armenia, will assail Vienna and Cologne. 95. The nautical oar will tempt the shadows. Then it will come to stir up the great empire. In the Aegean Sea the impediments of wood, obstructing the diverted Tyrrhenian Sea. 96. The rose upon the middle of the great world. For new deeds public shedding of blood. To speak the truth, one will have a closed mouth. Then at the time of need the awaited one will come late. 97. The one born deformed suffocated in horror. In the habitable city of the great king. The severe edict of the captives revoked. Hail and thunder, condom inestimable. 98. At the 48th climacteric degree. At the end of Cancer very great dryness. Fish in sea, river, lake boiled hectic. Barren, bigor in distress through fire from the sky. 99. Milan, Ferrara, Turin and Aquileia. Capua, Brindisi vexed by the Celtic nation. By the lion and his eagle's phalanx. When the old British chief Rome will have. 100. The incendiary trapped in his own fire. Of fire from the sky at Carcassonne and the Comminges. Foyalk, Mazers, the high old man escaped. Through those of Hesse and Thuringia, and some Saxons.